Hey, what's up guys? I spend a ton of time talking about here's what you want to play on PrizePicks. Here are strategies that make money. But what I wanted to do in this video is kind of go through, I learned some of these things the hard way, but go through 6 mistakes that you can make on PrizePicks that will lose you a lot of money. So we're going to be going through 6 things you really want to avoid doing on PrizePicks to become a more profitable sports bettor. So my name's Alex. If you're new to the channel, I've used PrizePicks for a few years now. I made over $10,000 profit on PrizePicks in 2023. I used it pretty seriously, but unfortunately, as I made more money on PrizePicks and they kind of flagged me as a sharp, profitable customer, my betting limit was reduced to $100 per play, then $25 per play, and now I can only bet $5 per slip, which obviously sucks. But that's kind of why I've started to bet more on other sports books like FanDuel and other fantasy sites like Betr, Dabble, where I can at least get down more money than $5 that I'm getting on PrizePicks. PrizePicks was like, yo, you're making way too much money off us. This is a zero-sum game. So they basically cut me off at this point. However, a lot of the things I learned on my journey to making, probably total I've made about $20,000 on PrizePicks. A lot of the things I've learned to do and not to do are still important. So if you're on PrizePicks, these things will make you money. There's a good chance if you make money, your betting limit is going to get cut down. But honestly, that's fine, right? Would you rather lose money and have unlimited betting limits, or would you rather take PrizePicks for $20,000, $30,000, and then if you get limited, whatever, it's just kind of part of the game. Then you move on to another sports book. There's already so many PrizePicks competitors like Betr, Underdog that work in basically the same way. So if you get limited on PrizePicks, it's not the end of the world. Move on to other apps and you can make money. But anyways, 6 things you want to avoid on PrizePicks. That's what we're going to be going through. So first and foremost, you want to avoid demons and goblins. On PrizePicks, these are kind of sexy. PrizePicks runs a lot of promos. If you do an all goblin slip, we'll give you your money back if it loses. PrizePicks really tries to entice people to bet demons and goblins, but these are the worst possible types of slips. Demons and goblins, I've never, not once, seen a profitable demon or goblin, and I'll go through a few examples with you. So demons and goblins on PrizePicks are meant to give you, the reason PrizePicks launched them is for there to be more things for their customers to play, right? However, the payouts are absolutely awful. So I'll just give you a simple example. I picked 2 random squares. I took the Yurfie, the yes run first inning, the over in the White Sox game, and then I paired in Miles McBride over 1.5 threes. On PrizePicks, they're giving us a 3.5x payout. So that's not good. To be very clear, on FanDuel Sportsbook, they're giving us plus 361 odds. This is the exact same play. FanDuel is giving you a way better price. So you may be like, well, it doesn't seem that much different, 3.5x payout versus plus 361 odds. But you have to remember, PrizePicks puts their odds in payout format. So a 3.5x payout means you're putting down 100 to win 350, but only 250 of that is profit. So you're putting down 100 to win 350, 250 in profit. So PrizePicks is actually giving you this at plus 250 odds, when FanDuel is giving you plus 361 for the exact same play. So sports betting is about finding value in the market, not getting ripped off. And if you're placing wagers on PrizePicks at plus 250 odds, 3.5x payout, when you could be getting plus 361 on FanDuel, you're getting absolutely ripped off, and you're never going to stand a chance against the sports books because PrizePicks is baking in so much juice into demons and goblins. It's basically impossible to make money betting on them long term. Now, I know some people will say, oh, I don't have FanDuel in my state. If you don't have FanDuel, it doesn't matter. You still shouldn't bet this on PrizePicks. right? PrizePicks, again, they're giving you plus 250 odds. We know that other sports books are giving us plus 360, literally like 50% better of odds. So it doesn't matter if you use FanDuel or not. FanDuel is essentially telling you, hey, PrizePicks is a ripoff. They're giving you horrible payouts. So even if you don't use FanDuel, that doesn't mean play this on PrizePicks. So I'll give you some examples of just how bad Demon and Goblin payouts are. And regardless of the slips you're placing on PrizePicks, you really should be doing this. Build a slip on PrizePicks, compare it to the odds that you're getting on FanDuel, the price you're getting. And if you're getting a worse payout on PrizePicks, you shouldn't run the slip, right? Sports betting's about finding value. So if you're building plays on PrizePicks that are getting, a 10x payout plus 900 odds, and you can build that same parlay on FanDuel and get plus 1,500, you're getting ripped off, and it's impossible to make money sports betting long term if you're getting ripped off. It's like being a day trader and having to buy stocks at 50% higher of a price. It's going to be impossible to make money if you have to pay 50% more than everyone else. So we can go through a simple example. If I go to pitcher strikeouts, for example, let's take some of these plays. Maybe let's take Nick Lodolo over 8.5 Ks. So let's go here, or over 7.5. I mean, whatever. And then we can take Senga over 3.5 Ks. So PrizePicks is giving us a 5x payout, which means we're putting down 100 to win 500. Again, I'm limited on PrizePicks, so you're gonna see they tell me my max lineup is only $5, so I wouldn't even be able to play this regardless. But they're giving us plus 400 odds, 5x payout, betting 100 to win 500, 400 in profit. So let's see how that compares to FanDuel, and I'll show you just kind of how awful in general these payouts are. So if I go to Lodolo, 8+ Ks, I mean, this is crazy. Over 7.5 strikeouts is the same as 8+ strikeouts. PrizePicks is giving us a 4x payout for these two plays combined. FanDuel is giving us plus 450, a 5.5x payout on just one of these legs, which is Lodolo 8+ strikeouts. FanDuel is giving you better odds on just one of the plays in your PrizePicks parlay. For just one of the plays, the Lodolo play, FanDuel's already giving you a better payout than PrizePicks for the combined slip. This is 100 to win 400 profit, whereas on FanDuel, this is 100 to win 450 profit, plus 450 odds. So this just kind of shows you how bad, the payouts are on PrizePicks. But if we go and we actually add the final leg, which again is going to be Senga 4+ Ks. So let's go here. And if we go to pitcher props, alternate strikeouts. So on FanDuel, they'd be giving us for this a 6.18 payout. And on PrizePicks, again, they're only giving you plus 400 odds. FanDuel's giving you 50% better, right? 6x payout versus a 5x payout. Or I guess not that much better, but still considerably better. And you'll see for NBA, like some people may be like, oh, maybe this is just for MLB. No, PrizePicks is pretty crazy just in terms of, how bad these payouts are. So if we do Nas Reed, 3+ 3s. Let's see if we can build another slip here. Check out another one just to really prove to you how awful, these PrizePicks demons and goblins are. So we have Nas Reed, 3+ made 3s, which is the same as over 2.5. And then what do we like? Maybe Pete Crow Armstrong, over 2.5 bases. So this is a 7x payout on PrizePicks, putting down 100 to win 700, 600 in profit. So the same as plus 600 odds. And if I just go to the Cubs game and we go to player bases, what are you? So let's see here. Where's Pete Crow Armstrong? FanDuel's giving us plus 796 odds. So, I
I guess it's not that much different. Plus 600 versus plus 796. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's still a big difference, right? FanDuel's giving you over 30% better odds. Long story short, basically anything you build, PrizePicks is offering the worst possible payout compared to any other book if you're using demons and goblins. So don't play demons or these goblins. They're cute. They look fun. They're horrible. Okay, absolutely horrible in terms of the payouts PrizePicks is giving you. In every leg you add in that's a demon or a goblin, you're only compounding how bad the slip is because PrizePicks is giving awful payouts in general on these demons and goblins.
So first and foremost, do not play demons and goblins on PrizePicks if you want to be profitable. They may look fun, whatever. The payouts are absolutely horrible. You know, compare the lines on PrizePicks to FanDuel, DraftKings, literally any other sports book, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So the second thing you don't want to do on PrizePicks, avoid this, is do not play 3-pick entries. 3-pick entries are awful. So on PrizePicks, any 3-pick entry you create, again, this is assuming no demons, no goblins. We're talking about regular squares. Any 3-pick entry you run on PrizePicks, you're going to get a 5x payout. That's horrible. Underdog Fantasy, Dabble Fantasy, which are two of PrizePicks' competitors, they work in basically the exact same way. They give you a 6x payout on 3-pick entries. PrizePicks is awful. So it's important to understand the optimal slip type on PrizePicks. I'll include a spreadsheet below with the math breakdown of what slip types are optimal on PrizePicks, but I'll kind of run you through it briefly right now.
So here you can see a spreadsheet on PrizePicks, the math behind PrizePicks, what type of slip is optimal. Again, I'll include it in the description. So this does not apply to demons and goblins. Don't even play these. Don't even look at them, okay? They're not worth playing. However, if we're talking about regular plays, right, PrizePicks is a fixed payout book. So any 2 picks I select, over, under, I'm going to get a 3x payout. I could replace this with a KBO pick. It doesn't matter. On PrizePicks, for example, any 2-pick entry, you're getting a 3x payout. So basically, 3-pick power plays are the worst type of slip. They're giving you a 5x payout on PrizePicks. Underdog's only giving you 6x. But if you want to distill that mathematically, and again, I kind of have this spreadsheet that breaks everything down. On PrizePicks, kind of everything boils down to win rate, right? Like on PrizePicks, any 2-pick entry I make, I'm getting a 3x payout. So I just want to find the picks with the highest possible win rate. I know, if I replace this pick with this pick, I'm still getting a 3x payout. So I just want to find the highest win probability picks on PrizePicks. That's how you make money. So essentially, on PrizePicks, for a 3-pick power play, you have to win 58.5% of your individual picks. So for example, if I make a 5-pick entry, let's go to the NBA maybe. And here you can see, let's say we take Lou Dort over 8.5 points, 3-man on PrizePicks, 5x payout. So basically what this sheet is saying is for 3-pick entries on PrizePicks, you have to win at least 58.5% of your picks to break even. So if you're winning, let's say 60% of your over-unders, that's really hard to do. To be clear, you need a real edge, right? Like if you're winning your picks 60% of the time on PrizePicks, that would be insane. You're winning your over-unders like Dort over under 8.5 points. If you can win your over-unders like Dort over under 8.5 points 60% of the time, you're going to be very profitable, but that's hard to do. PrizePicks is setting these lines to be roughly 50-50. Winning 60% would mean you're winning 60%, only losing 40%, so you have a real edge. But basically, what you're going to see is 5 and 6 pick flex plays are optimal. The break-even win rate is around 54.2%. So what this means, and again, you can kind of see the math breakdown here. What this means is if I can win my over-unders on PrizePicks just like this, let's say 56% of the time, which is still hard to do. That means you have a real edge. If you can win your over-unders 56% of the time, only losing 44%, somebody with no edge would win 50%, lose 50%. You're basically blindly selecting. So you need a real edge still. But if you can win your over-unders like this 56% of the time, you're going to be profitable playing 5 and 6 pick flex plays. However, for 2-pick power plays, the break-even win rate is 57%. You're going to be unprofitable. For 3-pick flex plays, it looks like that's actually the worst type of slip. It's even worse than 3-pick power plays. If you're winning 56% of your picks, you're going to be really profitable playing 5 and 6-pick flex plays, but you're still going to be getting killed running 3-pick entries, 2-pick entries, even 4-pick flex or power plays. So you can go through the math. I'm happy to answer any questions. So if you have any questions, just comment them, because I know the math can be a little confusing at first. But long story short, avoid all types of slips, especially 3-mans. They're horrible. They have the highest break-even win rate. And you really should be focused on 5-pick flex plays, because again, you have to win the lowest percentage of your over-unders. On PrizePicks, you have to win the lowest percentage of your over-unders, like door over-under 8.5 points, to be profitable. The break-even win rate is the lowest.
So next on PrizePicks, things you want to avoid, definitely don't want to do, is number one, using your gut, your emotions. Like, that's a surefire way to lose money sports betting, period. It doesn't just relate to PrizePicks. 97% of sports bettors lose money long term, and guess what? They all watch sports. So watching sports doesn't make you a good sports bettor, right? The way you're going to beat PrizePicks long term is by understanding the optimal slip type, how to get an edge, and how to, ultimately win long term. The second thing, kind of along the same vein, is you don't want to use last 5 grabs to place your PrizePicks bets. I'll show you a simple example. Is almost always, if you go to the popular tab on PrizePicks, it's just players who have been doing well in the last few games. So for example, right now it's Pete Crow Armstrong and Nico Horner. So if you pull up the last 5 graph, which you can automatically do on PrizePicks, you can see both of these hitters over the past few games have been doing really well. So everyone is just, you're using recency bias. Everybody is just kind of saying, hey, they've hit well in the past few games, let's just bet on them again. But that's not a good reason to place a bet. If you flip a coin and it lands on heads 5 times in a row, it's still 50-50 to show up heads or tails the next time. So last 5 grabs are completely useless. You don't want to look at that. And for a few different reasons. I mean, the first main reason is, there's always a player who's running hot, and that's just kind of how it is. But most importantly, PrizePicks is showing you this information. PrizePicks has last 5 grabs, and they promote them all over their platform. PrizePicks is trying to make money off you. If they thought this information was useful, they wouldn't show it to you. PrizePicks is a zero-sum game. You make money off PrizePicks, or PrizePicks makes money off you. So they wouldn't show you these last 5 graphs if they were actually useful, because they're not. The second thing is every game is different, right? Weather, how big is the ballpark, what's the wind doing, who's the opposing pitcher. All of these things are different from game to game. Where's a hitter batting in the lineup? So, for example, a player, he may have been hitting well recently, but he may have been playing against really bad pitchers like the Rockies or some awful team. And tonight he may be playing against, one of the best pitchers. That is not encompassed in last 5 stats. That is encompassed in sportsbook odds, market data. So last 5 grabs are very misleading. They're a trap. You don't want to use them.
So instead of looking at historical stats that are very misleading, what you want to do on PrizePicks, what I use is the OddsJam positive EV tool. And what this does is compare the lines on PrizePicks to sportsbooks. So essentially, we have hundreds of sportsbooks setting lines. These are real-time market data points. Everything is factored into the odds. So if you think about FanDuel, lineups, injuries, weather, starting pitchers, all of this is factored into the odds, the prices these books are putting out, but it's not factored into the last 5 grabs. So for example, here you can see a play I built on PrizePicks. I just took the highest edge plays, all of these plays, and if I build this same parlay on FanDuel, so on PrizePicks, again, the optimal slip type, we kind of went through the math as 5 or 6 pick flex plays, but just as an example, even for a 5 pick power play, FanDuel is giving us, PrizePicks is giving us a 20x payout, as you can see right here. That's the same as plus 1900 odds. So in this scenario, it's actually really good value. If I look at FanDuel, this parlay, if I build the exact same parlay, is only, a 15x payout, plus 1404. On PrizePicks, we're getting plus 1900 odds, 20x payout. FanDuel's only giving us plus 1400, a 15x payout. So this is how you build a play on PrizePicks with value. So again, I'd want to run this as a 5-pick flex play. But on PrizePicks, if I take the Yerfie or the Nerfie, if I take the over or the under, will there be a run in the first inning of the Phillies game? Regardless of if I take the over or the under, I'm getting the same payout. So again, PrizePicks is only going to give me $5 on this play. So annoying, but just kind of how it is as a sharp, profitable bettor. So if you look at every data point we have in the market, every sports book, from these peer-to-peer betting exchanges to multi-billion-dollar sports books like FanDuel, Bet365, Caesars, and sharp books like Circa. Circa is known to be a very sharp book with accurate lines. Every book has the over as a pretty heavy favorite. FanDuel is more aggressive on the over than, let's say, Circa, but all of these books are data points telling us, hey, there's a lot more likely for there to be a run in the first inning, for this to go over as opposed to under. We're treating these sports books as data points. And that's why, all of these picks are winning above 54.25% of the time. And I just made a profitable 5-pick flex play. So this pick, for example, if you take a weighted average of every sports book, which is what OddsJam is doing on the positive expected value tool, is if you take a weighted average of every sports book and how much they have the over favored, this pick, the Yerfie, the over first inning total runs, is going to win 56.5% of the time. So it's not a lock, right? This is still going to lose 43.5% of the time, but it's a pick with a real edge. The over's heavily favored. So according to OddsJam, just based on the weighted average of every sportsbook's odds, with sharper books like Circa ranked higher, this pick has a 56.5% win rate, which is above 54.2%. So this is a profitable pick in a 5 or a 6-pick flex play. So we're just using market data, sportsbook odds, to figure that out.
So the fourth thing you never want to do on PrizePicks is include negatively correlated outcomes in the same slip. So again, on PrizePicks, you have fixed payouts, and correlation only applies to picks you're pairing in the same game. So for example, let's say I want to make a slip for the Thunder game, game 1 of Thunder versus Wolves, the Timberwolves. You don't want to pair Jalen Williams over, SGA over. Again, on PrizePicks, I could take both their unders, 1 over, 1 under, or both overs. It doesn't matter. I'm getting the same payout regardless. But you would never want to take Williams over, SGA over in the same slip. These plays are negatively correlated, right? If SGA has a great game and does most of the scoring, Williams is more likely to go under. So if SGA goes over, Williams is more likely to go under. So it would make no sense to include both of these players to go over in the same slip. These picks are negatively correlated. If one of the players goes over, the other player is more likely to go under. you know, only one guy can score points at the same time. So if SGA goes off, has a great game, goes over his points projection, Jalen's more likely to go under.
So I'll give you an example is if I take Julius Randle under, I definitely don't want to pair Ant under, right? Those picks are negatively correlated. Two players on the same team to both go under in points. You'd want to take one over, one under. And again, that's because PrizePicks has fixed payouts. They're not pricing in correlation for the same game. So long story short, any of these combinations of picks, I'm going to get the same payout. That's not the same on FanDuel. So FanDuel, for their same game parlays, you can see FanDuel right here, SGP, they do bake in correlation. So I'll give you a little example is if I build a 2-leg parlay and I take Randall over in points, Anthony Edwards, FanDuel is giving the same odds, minus 114, on both his over and his under. So you're probably thinking like, okay, if I pair both overs together, I'm getting plus 234. FanDuel's giving the same odds on Ant's under. So if I switch Ant to an under, I'll probably still be getting plus 234. And I'm not. The odds change. The odds on FanDuel change from plus 234 to plus 203. They give you a worse payout because these picks are positively correlated. If Randall goes over, Anthony Edwards is more likely to go under. Only one player can score points at the same time. So even though the odds on FanDuel are the same for Ant's over and under, right, they're pricing in correlation. And you can kind of see, right, they're giving me a better payout if I take both overs together, and that's because those picks are negatively correlated. The final thing I wanted to say on PrizePicks, the final thing you don't want to do is bet on underdog outcomes. So for example, I've explained that on PrizePicks, even in the best scenario, you have to win your picks, your individual over-unders. So if we go back to this MLB game, right, we have to win these over-unders at least 54.25% of the time. That's for a 5 or a 6 pick flex play to be profitable on PrizePicks. Ideally, we're winning our picks at a higher rate, 60%, 57%, because then we're actually getting a profit margin. But long story short, you need to be betting on favored outcomes. So if we go back to this example, right, for, you know, the Phillies game, we definitely wouldn't want to take the Nerfy. And that's because this is not a favored outcome. This is an underdog outcome. If I go to the Phillies game right here and I go to first inning runs on FanDuel, you're going to see, right, first inning total runs over under, right? The over is heavily favored. So that's the play we want to be on. You don't want to play the under. That's the underdog outcome. You're getting plus 114 odds. So if you want to bet on the Nerfy in the Phillies-Rockies game, you should bet it on a sportsbook. You should bet it on FanDuel and get plus money because, again, on PrizePicks, you have to win your picks at least 54.2% of the time to be profitable. So you have to be betting on favored outcomes. In this case, again, it was the Nerfy, the first inning over, the yes run first inning, the over is the play that we'd want to be on. So you only want to be betting on favored outcomes, not underdog outcomes on PrizePicks. And again, the way I make my slips is I just use the OddsJam positive EV tool, which compares the lines on PrizePicks to sportsbooks to point out value. But anyways, thanks for watching this video. Let me know any questions.